There are days when your body isn't the one that's tired, it's your heart. You wake up feeling heavy, even if you slept enough. You sit in silence, but the silence doesn't recharge you. You try to rest, but rest doesn't reach the places where the exhaustion lives. It's the weight of too many responsibilities, too many expectations, too many emotions that aren't even yours. You try to be strong for others, patient for others, supportive for others, until little by little, you forget where your own energy ends and theirs begins. And in today's world, where overstimulation is constant, even small interactions can drain the mind more than we realize. The Buddha taught that emotional exhaustion often comes less from what happens in our lives, and more from the mind's reaction to those events. It's not the world that drains us, it's the internal struggle. And the moment we understand this, a different path opens, one built on clarity, compassion, and letting go. Most people think emotional exhaustion comes from doing too much, but Buddhist wisdom points to something deeper. We carry too much that does not belong to us. The Buddha described this using the teaching of the second arrow. The first arrow is life itself, the event, the challenge, the pain. The second arrow is the story we create around it, the overthinking, the self-blame, the fear, the guilt, the endless what if and why me. And it is the second arrow, not the first, that wounds us the most. We don't just experience situations, we absorb them. We take home other people's moods, worries, criticisms, and expectations. We replay conversations long after they're over. We imagine scenarios that haven't happened and punish ourselves for mistakes we didn't make. The mind becomes a sponge, soaking up the world. And then there is the silent burden of trying to control everything. Controlling outcomes, controlling people's opinions, controlling emotions that refuse to obey. This effort feels noble, but it drains the heart faster than anything else, because control is an illusion, and holding on to an illusion requires enormous energy. When you understand that much of your exhaustion comes from carrying what isn't yours, something inside you softens. You begin to see what you can put down. Emotional exhaustion doesn't only come from doing too much, it often comes from holding on too tightly. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, and emotional fatigue is one of its most common forms. We cling not just to people, but to expectations, identities, and roles we believe we must live up to. One of the most draining attachments is attachment to expectations. The belief that life should unfold a certain way, that things shouldn't go wrong, and that people should behave the way we hope they will. Every time reality doesn't match our script, the heart tightens. We feel disappointed, frustrated, even betrayed. This constant tug-of-war between what is and what should be quietly consumes our energy. Then there is attachment to approval. Many people walk through life wearing invisible armor, trying to protect themselves from disapproval, judgment, or misunderstanding. You try to be polite enough, helpful enough, agreeable enough, hoping others will like you, praise you, or at least not criticize you. But this kind of living is exhausting because the mind is always calculating, adjusting, and worrying about impressions. There is also attachment to roles. I must be strong. I can't disappoint anyone. I should be the responsible one. I'm the one who has to fix things. On the surface, these roles look noble, but when you cling to them rigidly, they become heavy chains. You feel guilty for resting, guilty for saying no, guilty for being human. The truth is, the world does not collapse when you soften, but our attachment to these identities makes us believe it will. Letting go does not mean becoming cold or careless. In Buddhism, letting go means releasing the tightness inside the heart. It means dropping the unnecessary pressure, releasing the imagined duties, and allowing yourself to be real. When you let go, you don't lose anything. You reclaim the energy that was trapped inside unrealistic expectations. One of the biggest sources of emotional exhaustion is not what happens to us, but what we wish wasn't happening. The Buddha taught that much of our suffering comes from resisting the truth of the present moment. From silently fighting reality, exhaustion grows when we want life to be different than it is. We replay the past, wishing it had unfolded another way. We look at the present and think, it shouldn't be like this. We project into the future, hoping it will fix everything. But life is only ever happening now, and the more we resist this moment, the more energy we lose. We also drain ourselves, wanting people to behave differently. We wish they were kinder, more mature, more understanding, more consistent. But when we attach our peace to someone else's behavior, we hand them control over our emotional state. The harder we try to shape others, the more tired the heart becomes. Even our inner world becomes a battlefield. We want our uncomfortable emotions to disappear quickly. We push sadness away. We fight anxiety. We reject anger. But what we resist doesn't vanish. It grows heavier. The Buddha taught that emotions, when allowed to exist, pass naturally. But when we resist them, we hold them in place. This is why the Buddha said that true exhaustion comes not from tasks, but from mental resistance. It is not life that drains you. It is the struggle against life. The moment you stop fighting reality, even before anything changes, something inside you relaxes. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve of everything. It simply means you stop exhausting yourself with the impossible task of making the present moment different from what it already is. One of the most misunderstood ideas in spiritual life is compassion. Many people think compassion means absorbing others' pain, carrying their burdens, or sacrificing themselves to keep everyone afloat. But the Buddha never taught this. He taught wise compassion, a compassion rooted in clarity, not exhaustion. True compassion does not mean taking on suffering that is not yours. It doesn't mean fixing everyone's problems or being available every moment someone needs you. In fact, trying to save everyone often leaves both you and them weaker. There is a Buddhist saying, you can hold a lamp for someone without burning your hand. This is the heart of wise compassion. You can offer light, support, presence, kindness, but you don't plunge your hand into the fire. You can care deeply without drowning in another person's emotions. When we absorb people's sadness, anger, anxiety, or chaos, we confuse compassion with emotional fusion. Buddhism teaches that this is not compassion, it is attachment. Real compassion comes from a steady heart, not a tangled one. So what does caring without absorbing look like? It means listening without taking everything personally. It means offering help but not feeling responsible for someone else's choices. It means standing with someone in pain but not sinking into their suffering. It means remembering their emotions are passing clouds. I do not have to take them into my sky. This is mindful detachment, not coldness, not distance, but emotional balance. You stay open-hearted but grounded. You stay kind but centered. You stay present but not consumed. When you learn this form of compassion, your relationships become healthier, your energy stays balanced, and your heart no longer feels pulled in 1,000 directions. The Buddha didn't just diagnose emotional exhaustion, he offered practices to restore inner strength. Here are powerful methods to help your heart return to balance. The first is the 3-breath returning technique. Anytime you feel overwhelmed, pause and take 3 slow breaths. The first breath softens the body. The second breath settles the mind. The third breath returns you to the present moment. This simple act interrupts emotional spirals and brings immediate calm. Next is labeling emotions instead of becoming them. Instead of saying, I am anxious, gently say, anxiety is here. Instead of, I am overwhelmed, try overwhelm is present. This small shift creates distance. You are not the emotion. You are the awareness noticing it. Another powerful tool is the teaching. Drop the story, return to the sensation. When emotions rise, the mind creates stories. This always happens. I can't handle this. What if it gets worse? Instead of feeding the story, return to the raw physical sensation, the tightness in your chest, the heat in your face, the flutter in your stomach. When you feel the sensation directly, without the story, the emotion loses its power. Then there is metta, loving kindness meditation. Even a minute of silently repeating phrases like, "May I be peaceful," "May I be kind to myself," "May I be free from stress," begins to heal emotional fatigue. Metta softens the heart and replenishes inner warmth. Finally, simplify your mental input. Emotional exhaustion grows in a noisy mind. Reduce unnecessary stimulation, less scrolling, fewer alerts, more quiet moments. Protect your mental space the same way you would protect a sacred room. These practices don't just reduce exhaustion, they rebuild your inner energy, helping you return to life with steadiness, clarity, and compassion for yourself. The Buddha taught that the deepest cure for emotional exhaustion is surprisingly simple. Return to the present moment. Not because it magically fixes everything, but because the present moment is the only place where your mind stops fighting, comparing, replaying, and worrying. The present moment is healing because emotional pain rarely lives here. It lives in the past, where your mind replays old conversations, regrets, and disappointments. And it lives in the future, where your mind imagines what could go wrong, what others might think, or how life might fall apart. When the mind leaves the present, it becomes a traveler carrying too much luggage. But in the present moment, the real now, you are simply breathing, sitting, feeling, existing. Nothing is demanded of you here. This is why stillness is medicine in Buddhist practice. When you pause, even for a few seconds, you give your nervous system permission to rest. You step out of the storms created by memory and imagination. You return to the only place where peace is actually possible. Resting in the present doesn't require long meditation sessions. It begins with small moments of peace woven into your day. A single slow breath before checking your phone. A quiet pause while washing your hands. Feeling your feet touch the ground when you step outside, listening to one full inhale and exhale before speaking, watching sunlight move across the room for just 5 seconds. These tiny moments act like anchors. They bring you back from the mental world that exhausts you. They remind you that you are here, not inside the stories your mind creates. The more you return to the present, the less drained you feel. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop carrying the extra weight the mind adds. You are tired not because you are weak, but because you have been carrying far more than your heart was meant to hold. The Buddha taught, peace comes when you let go of what isn't yours, and so much of your exhaustion comes from burdens that were never yours to carry. Allow yourself to soften, to breathe, to return to yourself. And if this path of clarity and emotional healing speaks to you, consider subscribing for more Buddhist wisdom and gentle guidance toward inner peace.